Hey friends, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I am Scribbles, the artist and crocheter behind Eclectic Scribbles, and we are starting a brand new video. So in my last product test video, we did 24 acrylic markers by Master's Touch, and I told you in that video that we also had some paint markers from Copic, and we're going to compare and contrast the two and see what I think about these. I've never tried these before. I don't know how long they've been on the market. It's been several years since I've purchased art supplies for myself, and I had some fun shopping the other day, so I figured we would give these a little swatch and a little test together. I have 4 6 paint marker sets. I have the Vivid, the Essentials, the Light, and Deep paint markers. So these are the ones that were available at my Michael's, and we're going to test them out. They're a lot of the same sort of kind of colors. So the Essentials is different because it's white, black, gray, looks like a brown, a gold, and a silver, or a bronze, a gold, and a silver. And the other ones are fairly consistent in what they are. You look like you've got like a pink, a red, an orange, a yellow, a green, and a blue. You may have a purple in there, but they're in the same sort of family of colors. So we're going to see how these markers compare to the acrylic markers that we tried last week. I have busted open this one already, but just to look at the colors inside. So let's just have a little look-see real quick. This is what the markers look like. These are supposed to be, are they a brush nib or a bullet nib? They are a bullet nib, and a relatively small bullet nib if I'm looking at them correctly. They have a shaker inside, which is something that our other pens did not have. So we've got a nice shaker on the inside. And each one of these pens is individually wrapped in some shrink plastic. So we will have to open up each one. So this is going to take me a little bit of time to get everybody open and everybody swatched out. A lot of time to get everybody open and swatched out. But let me put you in the top down view and we will get these first ones done. Okay, we are all set up here. This is the Deep collection. It says to shake each one of the markers, which we're doing. I've got everything out of the plastic. And so we are just going to test the colors out. I'm going to try to go in the order that is on the thing. So let's see what we've got here. I've got a nice little bullet nib. It looks like we're going to have to like get the color to come down the thing, which it did relatively quickly actually, so I'm not mad at that at all. Now let's just color in our box. This is obviously a smaller nib than our last, so it's going to take a little bit more to fill our box here, but I want to see what we're looking like in terms of streakiness, opacity. Let's just color our little block in, and I'm just gonna like go over our line down here so we can check the streakiness. Now this is slightly heavier paper than I used before. This is cardstock, so I'm not expecting anything to bleed through on this, but we'll see. So the dry time is not bad. It's really thick in the middle here, so it's going to take a little bit longer to dry. But I'm not seeing any streakiness. If I pull this up, it's pretty opaque too as far as the color is concerned. I can still see the line through our little swatch here, but not nearly as much as I could see it in the last one. So let's just go through and test out the rest of the colors and see what we end up with. right, let's take a look at our first colors. So I will say that these colors are a lot more opaque than the first colors. You can see that there's a lot happening here. I left that little splotch of pink in there on purpose just to see if I could get it to cover up with the yellow, because the yellow is such a lighter color that I wanted to see if we could hide that little boo-boo, and it did a fairly good job of it. It's still wet, so we don't want to touch it too much. You can see a little bit on my finger there, but it's still a little bit wet. It did cover up the pink though, which is nice. I can't really see the dark lines even through the yellow. It is fairly covered up here, so I'm not mad at the opacity of these colors, the opaqueness of these colors either. I don't know how I feel 100% about them. They are opaque, they are nice colors, but they're also a little bit globby is the word I think I want to use. So you can definitely see close up, which I don't think is going to come across on camera, especially while they're still wet, like which way you were coloring. The red looks okay now, but I think I was going pretty much in one direction when I was coloring that, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to take the rest of these markers and I'm going to take a few minutes just to swatch them out, and we'll see if the other ones do that as well. And then by the time we get all of them done, the top one will be 100% dry. Again, there's a little warping on the back here, but nothing is bleeding through, which they're not supposed to. So we'll see how we end up at the end. I'm going to go and swatch and pull the plastic off the rest of these colors, and we'll come back in just a minute. Okay, friends, so let's look over what we ended up with. And I gotta say, I don't love these pins. I don't love the nib. The nib is just a bullet nib. So I think that this is fun for something small in area where you're not doing a whole lot of coloring in. As you can see, once you start to build up the color, it gets a little lumpy. Like this is completely dry now, and it definitely looks a little lumpy in some spots. The coverage isn't the best when you're trying to color in a solid area, but they're nice. They go on evenly. They're opaque. They're not streaky like the previous ones. So for small areas and for like lines and accents and things like that, these would be perfect. You can see some of the opacity of the markers coming through. Like in the lighter colors, you can see that they're not completely opaque. And then you've got these down here, which are actual, let's see, this is the sepia tone. So you've got the gold and the silver that are metallic. You've got the sepia, you've got the gray, the black, and even the white is really nice in comparison to the other white that we tried. It is a lot more opaque than the previous one, and of course you get a lot of extra control with the bullet nib. Let's go over the black with the white and see how we get on. So let's just put a little streak down. That is nice and opaque. Like that is a solid line coming down. I'm not going to do an entire coloring page with these markers because that's just not something that I would use these markers for, because the bullet nib is so small. It's really difficult to color in like a large area with this. But if you had one of those more intricate like mandala style or like stained glass style coloring books, then this could be something really good for those. However, yeah, for a full sheet like in my coloring book, you're just not gonna, it's just too big an area for something so small. These would be excellent if they had a brush nib. I would absolutely 100% hands down love this pen. Let's take it back and look at it in comparison to some similar colors in our other one. So the black is relatively similar. We've got a nice gray. We've got sort of the sepia tone. There are a lot of similarities. There are no metallics in the one that I got before. We've got sort of similar orange tones here. We've got a similar shade of red. We've got, this I would say is a more reasonable bright yellow than the highlighter yellow that we got in our other marker. The blues are nice. I like this blue. We've got purples are relatively similar with our purples. So there are a lot of similarities between these two. These were in packs of 6, so we have 24 of each to compare. So let's just have a little look at the types of colors that we got in the 2 sets. So we've got a black, we've got a gray, we've got a sepia, we have a white. You can see the difference in the white. The white is really different. There is hardly any opaqueness here, and you can barely see that line underneath that. We've got 2 greens and sort of a teal sort of color. This is a little bit more blue, whereas this is a little bit more green. We've got some blues here, so we've got 4 blues in total, and we've got 2 blues here. If you want to consider that a blue, we didn't count that in either one. We've got 3 purples here, and we've got 2 purples up here. We have got 2 pink shades. We've got like 3 pink shades here. I would consider all of these pink shades. We have like a skin tone sort of color, like a salmony type color in this. We've got 2 reds here. We've got an orange. This would be sort of what I compared this to, but they're really not the same type color. And then we've got 2 yellows here, and we've got 2 yellows here. We also have the gold and silver in this set, whereas we didn't have anything metallic in our previous set. But overall, I mean, I think the colors are comparable. I am not like a huge fan of how this lies on the paper. It is rather like thick and chunky. It's chunky. I don't know how else to explain it other than it's chunky, so that you can see different texture when you tilt the page in different directions. Like you can see the texture off the page. And I don't think it would be as apparent when you like are just doing like lines and art with it. But as a like a block of solid color, it's chunky. It is really chunky. And that is not something that we had with the other color. See, this is something like little accents and little things around a painting is what I would use this for. To get some nice opaque accents. So this is how I would sort of use this going around a painting or a piece. But if you can look back at this, this is flat on the page. There's no chunk to it. And I really don't think that, I don't know if it's going to come up on camera, but this is a flat surface. There's no chunk to it. This just feels like it's sitting on top of the paper, and you can feel the texture to it, if that makes sense. This just feels like paper. This still just feels like flat surface, like flat paper. And this, you can actually feel like the stuff sitting on top of it, and all of the different ridges from the different directions that you were moving your pen in, if that makes sense. But overall, I mean, let's look at how much these were real quick. Let me pull up Michael's website and see how much they were. Okay, so each one of these sets was $26.99. They're 30% off of online. They are 35% off regular price online. So let's look at what that would be. $17.55 for 6 markers. That is still quite a hefty price, and that is an in-store only, or no, that is an online only purchase price. So these are really expensive markers, but I sort of expect that when the Copic name is involved, you're paying for the brand name. So would I suggest going out and purchasing the full set of these? Not unless you have something that you really, really want to be able to use it for. So if you want to get a set of 24 markers, it is $90. $90 for a set of 24 markers, whereas you got the set of 24 markers in the other one for $30. That is a big jump in price. And like I said, this is flat against the paper, so this is more conducive to like painting and stuff and coloring in like coloring pages and anything else that you want to do. And this is chunky in nature, so you can definitely feel it on the paper. We'll turn it over. No bleed through. It said it wouldn't bleed through, so that's good. Yeah, I would use this for embellishments and keep the actual coloring of large areas in to the minimum, but that's just me. So let me turn you around and we'll do some final thoughts. Do I think these markers are worth the price? They're really expensive. They're really expensive markers. I think that you're going to get quality out of this. I think it is an investment like Copic markers are, alcohol-based markers are. I think that they're investment markers. I think that the quality is really nice on them. I just think that they're extremely overpriced for what they are. I would not pay a full $90 for 20 markers that I'm not 100% happy with the consistency of. So I definitely think they're a little bit overpriced. If you can get them on sale, they're a much better deal. Like I said, they're 35% off right now on online. So if you're going to purchase them, do it online and not in the store, because it will take it off every full price item and not just one full price item. So you don't have to worry about that. And paying $18 instead of $27 is a big difference. The quality, like I said, is great. I don't mind the quality. I'm not sure why it feels so bumpy, except for the fact that it's just sitting on the top of the paper. I think that I will use these. I will get a lot of use out of them in future traditional pieces. But yeah, I definitely think that you can probably find better bang for your buck elsewhere. I think I may try to do some of the acrylic markers that keep popping up on TikTok next. So if y'all want to see that, drop me a little comment down below telling me you'd like to see a comparison between these two and like the TikTok grabby, I think it was, I don't know, acrylic markers, and we'll try to do a comparison on those. But overall, not bad markers. I would not buy these for somebody who is just like a little hobbyist and just wants to color in a few things. I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't suggest dropping this amount of money on something like that. But as far as the opaqueness of the markers, that's really good. They're not very streaky. They're not for large areas. That is 100% for sure. But for like accents in smaller areas, these would be really, really nice to work with. And the paint ran really, really smoothly out of them. So I don't have any complaints as far as that's concerned. And the bullet nib, if you are doing lines, is nice and relatively thin comparing, you know, to like a Posca pen or something like that. You can get some nice detail out of these. So that is my little review on the Copic Acrea. Is it Acrea? I don't know how you call it. But anyways, I'm going to add these to my pin wall, and I will definitely be getting some use out of them in the future, because we're not going to let our art supplies go to waste. But, you know, if you don't have to invest this much, I wouldn't suggest it. But to each their own. If you want to invest all this amount of money into some like thinner bullet nib markers, then by all means, go ahead. All right, drop me some colorful hearts down in the comments below to represent all of our fun little colors in this little test swatch. I will say that the color range is fairly nice. Like all of the colors are really different in this as well. So you're not getting like a repeat of really, really similar colors as well. So anyways, I would like to see like more skin tones, like more shades of brown. I don't know if they have a more shades of brown. I'm not seeing one on the website. Yeah, I'm not seeing like more shades of brown on the website. So I would like to see like browns and neutrals more represented in like one of these sets. But other than that, I got no complaints. And I will see you in the next video. I love your faces so much. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, ding your notification bell so you're informed each and every time I upload new content. Smash the thumbs up button for me, and I'll see you in the next one. I love you, love you, love you, love you. Goodbye.